Hello, my name is Caleb Terry. This is just the photo ID proof for the mobile application development project. This is my work ID. I didn't want to use my driver's license because it was too hard to cover up all the personal information on it. So it says my name right there in the top corner, and that's my picture. And that is my place of employment. Hello, my name is Caleb Terry. This is my PowerPoint presentation for the mobile application development project, MapIT. I'm going to do a side-by-side show where I can show you my PowerPoint and also my project. Um, we have 3 to 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to make this very quick and very brief. So this is the overall design of the actual application. Okay, so here we have an overview. This is an app built for adding and viewing multiple locations on a map. It has some error checking functionality built into it. It uses a location sensor, and it also uses a database to store the actual location information. So tools used within this were notifiers, the tiny database, the activity starter, and the location sensor. The notifiers are used for letting you know whenever you've made a mistake using the application. The database is used for storing location data. And the activity starter is used to actually pull up Google Maps so that you can view the locations on a map. And then the location sensor is probably the most important part of this application. It is what allows you to view your own location and also use Google Maps. So how it works, a quick overview. I'm going to go over the main functions here. I'm not going to go over what the procedures actually do because you can get into a lot of detail with explaining how those work. But basically what happens is when the screen initializes, it calls a procedure that basically sets up a bunch of different options for whenever you call it. So the procedure basically says that this vertical arrangement is not here whenever you open the application, and the select location list picker 1, you can see it right there, is not available. So the way that this app was set up, the list picker option is not actually available when you first open the app. So anything that you do in the app after you close it is going to disappear as far as locations being added to the database. You can add functionality where the database will store your locations in a persistent memory, but we're not using that in this. So the add location button sets the vertical arrangement to true, which the vertical arrangement 1, which I'm speaking of, is this right here. So basically it sets the visibility to true so that you can actually see what you're doing. It gives you a hint to actually enter the address and then click submit. And then you have another location help button here, which basically just calls on a notifier. And if you hit the help button, it'll actually tell you some helpful tips on how to use the app, just in case you can't figure it out. The submit button, basically what all this says is if the text box is empty, then display a message saying no address has been entered and you need to enter an address. and now if you do enter an address in there and hit enter, it appends the new address to the database, and then it sets the vertical arrangement to false. So it'll make this, once you enter an address here and you hit submit, this will disappear and it will actually go into a location database list picker 1. So you'll hit select location and you'll actually be able to see a list of locations that you've added. Once you hit cancel, it actually makes the vertical arrangement disappear because it goes back to adding location and location help. So the way that it's set up is add location and location help are visible until you want to submit, and then when you want to submit, add location and location help disappear. Once you hit enter, this disappears, these reappear, and then your location is entered into a database. Okay, so the view on map button, what it does is allows you to select a location from the previous entered location list, and you can view those on a map. So this right here basically says if the address text box, this right here, if you do not have an address selected, it will say no address has been selected yet. You can hit OK, and then you can select an address, and then it'll call the show map procedure, which this one is actually worth explaining. The activity starter utility basically calls upon Google Maps to take the text that you entered into that text box, and it starts the activity, which calls Google Maps to actually show you a display of that location. All right, when the My Location button is clicked, it basically does the same thing as View on Map button, except this is a simple procedure, whereas this is an if-else. This one doesn't really need any other kind of if-else statement, because if you hit My Location button, it's automatically going to pull your current address. There's no way you can really mess that up, because it's going to automatically pull the address that you are currently located at. There's no data that needs to be entered. That's an overview of how the app works. I wish I had more time to go in depth, but I do not, as we are only allotted 3 to 5 minutes. So that's it for how the app actually works. The locations I chose real fast are Domino's, Wendy's, Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, and Kroger. I chose these locations simply because they're in the general area of where I live. They are within like 10 minutes of my apartment complex. So they're just quick, easy to go to. I go to these places probably on a weekly basis. So most of them are food. But anyways, that is it for my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed.